First round action in Winston-Salem. The Butler Bulldogs, with a 15-game win streak, take on the Florida Gators, the number 5 seed in the East. Butler, having won its conference tournament, Midwestern Collegiate Conference Tournament champions, defeating Detroit Mercy, which had been the conference representative the last 2 years. A Detroit program that had won opening round games in the NCAA tournament each of the last 2 years. Butler controls the opening tip.
Marshall gave up inches, but not effort. Florida switching out of their man-to-man. Dupay posted up inside. Good help that time by Wright. Now he's got the smaller man. Interesting the matchups here.
Inside, Hangee has it stripped away and he reaches in.
Jim, I don't think we'll see a more powerful group than Marshall and Hangee on the inside. Now they're giving up a lot in regard to inches, but they are powerful. Of course, Haslam's not any weakling himself. And when Harvey comes into the game for Florida, we could see some banging in this game.
Florida Gators, Justin Hamilton will handle the point today. Teddy Dupay.
Marshall out on Miller. Getting down low and underneath. A lot of movement by Florida, trying to get something started here.
7 on the shot clock on its first possession.
You see that? Miller couldn't penetrate because Marshall is so strong in his upper body. Great defensive sequence by Butler.
They say that was a shot clock violation. Wouldn't have mattered. Marshall and the Butler Bulldogs secured the rebound, but I thought he got the shot off in time.
Yeah, but what we saw there was some upper body power that just wouldn't allow Florida to get any penetration. Florida's going to have to get their points against this team in the full court set.
Jordan, short, and the rebound by Brent Wright.
As an example, right here, before Butler gets a chance to set up, this is where Florida needs to get moving. Good job by Florida.
Mike Miller with a drive to the basket for the game's first points.
It will be in that defense to offensive transition, Jim, that Florida will get their baskets. Because that half-court set, Butler really looked tough. Marshall can set some wicked screens. Hamilton does a nice job fighting over the top.
Thomas Jackson, he'll take the jumper. 3 possessions, no points for Butler.
And again, transition opportunity. Florida should try to strike quick. Right there they go.
Haslam too strong, pulled away by Hangee.
Hangee giving up a lot of size to Haslam in the low post.
Inside, Marshall missed the lay-in that would have tied it. Traveling on Miller. We welcome you to Winston-Salem, East Region first round action. It's Butler and Florida. 4th possession for the Butler Bulldogs. They have yet to score. Hangee from the outside. Florida's only points on a drive to the basket by Mike Miller. Jim Nance, Billy Packer here in Winston. Dupay, long-range shot, and all Butler underneath.
Jim, what we're seeing right now is a team that wants to play half-court at time in Butler. There's a walk again. And we see Florida, a team that loves to play in transition, whether it be creating it off their defense or rebounding and running. Here's the starting lineups that we saw. Nothing's changed, no substitutes so far.
Marshall and Hangee, a couple of big bodies on the inside for Butler. Florida with a 24-7 record, meriting a number 5 seed as it turns out. Butler a 12 seed with a 15-game win streak. The winner takes on Illinois Sunday here in Winston-Salem.
Marshall on Miller, interesting matchup right here. First sequence down the floor, Miller tried to go by Marshall. He just put that big, strong chest on him. Former outstanding high school football player, showing why he was recruited heavily in that position.
Saw Barry Collier, 11th year as the head coach at Butler.
No place for DePay. Nice job, but Robish doing a good job helping out.
Robish saves it, but a shot clock violation against Florida, and that's the second one of the game. 35-second clock expires.
I would say this, unless Florida is going to get their running game going, and I'm really surprised they're not picking up full court with any kind of pressure. They have a much deeper bench than does Butler, and I would think that Florida would pick up full court, try to force Butler to make everybody handle the ball, keep it out of Jackson's hands. Straight man-to-man by Florida in the game. A lot of switching out front.
7th trip of the game for Butler. No points in the game's first 4 minutes.
So this is the game Butler would like to play.
Jordan misfiring. Florida with Miller pulling it down.
Now here's the game Florida would like to play.
DePay on a wing. Long rebound to Marshall.
I think we'll see DePay quickly setting down. I see a guy like Kenyon Weeks coming in this ball game for Florida. Just as I speak, here comes Kenyon Weeks.
Those of you expecting a game of natural interest will be getting you to the tip of your game shortly. And the first points of the game belong to Scott Robish. That is the first points for Butler to tie the game at 2.
Robish had a big game, 15 points against Detroit in the conference championship.
Over the top, Haslam with his first points.
Nice job, high-low, Wright, who's got the good size, really gets a great passing angle when he steps outside to throw that ball in.
The Butler Bulldogs having won their conference tournament. Jackson stripped away by Hamilton. Got the numbers here. DePay, and hold on first.
Jordan got a tip on that ball.
Ball was kicked.
Yep.
Kicking violation. So it'll be Florida ball with a fresh 35. Defensive struggle here at the start in Winston. Jim Nance, Billy Packer, and let's welcome in Bonnie Bernstein here in Winston-Salem. Bonnie.
Hi there, Jim. Butler coach Barry Collier is considered one of the best defensive coaches in the country, and that's really his team's forte, holding opponents to just over 55 points a game, third best in the nation. Billy Donovan, the Gators coach, kind of likened their defense to Auburn. He said they're great on help defense, they're great at helping jam up the lane. Donovan also told me his team's talked quite a bit about losing to Gonzaga in last year's regional semifinals. He said, my guys know how quickly you can get away from them, and they don't want that to happen again, Jim.
Florida possession here. Butler is the host team for the NCAA Final Four. It's a Indianapolis, Indiana school. So
have we ever had a playing host?
I don't think so. You know, the paradox here is while everybody's trying to get to Indianapolis on the road to the Final Four for a couple of weeks, Butler's trying to stay away from Indianapolis. They don't want to go home.
I'll tell you right now, what we're seeing is this. Butler's club in the half-court defensive set with the Hangy and the Marshall strength is taken away from any cuts that Florida could make. So Florida better hope that they can get their transition game going. It's the first time we're seeing Florida in a full-court pickup. Jackson awful tough. They got to get it out of his hands.
Broke it with no problem at all. SEC is 4-0 thus far in this tournament. Florida the 15th to play. Arkansas coming up later. Missing short range, and over the back it's Robish. In fact, the SEC, Billy, has advanced all 4 of its teams so far, and if you're expecting one of these games, we'll get you there shortly. But it hasn't been easy for the SEC teams. LSU,
Kentucky with the biggest margin, and that was overtime?
Double overtime. Yeah. Tennessee by 5 today, a double-digit deficit in the first half. Auburn by 3 over Creighton.
And you know, everybody talked about it, and I thought that Greg Thompson really said it well. Nobody separated themselves from these 4 top teams in the SEC. So it looks like they all are about equal.
Right, too strong. Haslam with the putback.
You can see the size differential out there.
More full court pressure.
I think this is a great move by Billy Donovan. Get the ball out of Jackson's hands.
Stolen away. Nelson to the corner. Three-point shot, no good by Weeks.
We're seeing a whole different type of movement now by Florida. They started off the game and they were not picking up full court. Now they're picking up in their full court pressure, double teaming Jackson, making the ball get out of his hands, and to see does anybody on this Butler team have the ability to handle the ball in the full court set. Graves coming in now, maybe he'll be the man for Collier.
Harvey comes in for Florida. The foul on Jackson was his first non-shooting situation.
Harvey down inside, giving up that powerful Hangey trying to push, but Harvey's got strength too.
Oh, block.
Wow, I thought Hangey got there, didn't you?
It sure looked like a classic draw charge, but it's the second on Hangey.
And that's going to hurt. Cornette comes right up off the bench in a hurry.
Yeah, what do you think after a second look?
Probably not there in time. You've got two very, very quick men inside in Harvey. Matter of fact, all of the power men for Florida, Haslam and Harvey, can really move. Cornette comes in the game, makes his first steal.
He's a freshman in the lane. Beautiful shot. Joel Cornette, freshman from Cincinnati.
Same high school as is Marshall. So Marshall had a big effect on him coming to Butler. Good looking player.
Miller outside. Three. Beautiful stroke.
He really does, Jim. Unlimited range. You can see the quick pickup. Now see if Nelson can get the ball out of Jackson's hands. Probably needs double team help.
Jackson beats it, dumps it inside. Robish +1. Scott Robish. His family knows about winning inside the NCAA tournament. His dad, Dave, went to Kansas, played in the Final Four back in 1971, and his brother Brett played at Oklahoma State back in '98. In fact, transferred from DePaul. Both dad and brother have NCAA tournament wins.
What do you think of this young guy right here? Went to Oklahoma State, as you mentioned, Jim. He's only played, coming into this year, 11 games in 3 years. So you can imagine how rusty he is and how here we are down in the end of this season. It's starting to come around for him. He looks very good.
Not eligible for the first 7 games this year because of the transfer from Oklahoma State. He, like his brother, had moved. His brother moved to Oklahoma State. Later on, Scotty moved out and landed here at Butler.
Good cut by Weeks.
Weeks with the jumper. Major Parker is in the lineup, number 25 for Florida. Again, full court pressure.
You can see Billy Donovan fools with this lineup until he gets the rotation that he wants.
Thomas Jackson with a driving basket.
The press will not be effective unless they can get the ball out of Jackson's hands.
Nelson, jumper.
Bad shot.
And is that over the back?
Great job by Robish. Good fundamental block out. Moved Harvey out of the way.
Harvey commits his first.
Harvey, a tremendous rebounder. 7, he's leading the team, 7.2 per game, but Robish did a good job blocking him out.
Billy Donovan, of course, sharpshooter, took Providence to the Final Four, 87, playing for Coach Pitino. Was an assistant for Pitino at Kentucky. Graves missing. Marshall puts it back up wildly. And out with the rebound, swinging elbows is Harvey.
Harvey, one of the best rebounders in the country. He's got a great wingspan, tremendous hands, and loves the contact.
And that will be on Cornette. You mentioned wingspan?
Yeah.
How big? 83-inch wingspan, Harvey. Butler with its 15-game win streak. A 12 seed taken on a 5 here. Why is that significant? You may have heard, perhaps not, but a 12 has won a tournament game in each of the last 11 years, but not thus far. 0-2 as of yesterday, as, Kentucky escaped St. Bonaventure and advanced in a very tight one. We've got 2 going on right now. Well, this one here and the UConn game about to start. Otherwise, that streak will come to a close. The 11 in a row of a 12 over at least one 12 over a 5.
Jim, you mentioned Butler with the 15-game winning streak. They now moved up to the second longest winning streak with Penn losing today. So only Utah State has a longer one.
Outside, three-point basket by Major Parker. And more pressure.
Here comes that pressure, and there's so many fresh legs. This is the perfect thing. Get the ball out of Jackson's hands with the double team. Great job by Florida. Florida and Illinois are the two deepest teams with quality players you'll ever see.
Jackson forced to call a timeout. 11:20 to go, first half. Florida shooting 46% from the field. Put the clamps on Butler so far from the outside. They made it 3, the Bulldogs. Florida, I think, Billy, you could build a case, deserved a better seed than a 5. 5 seed for a team that this year, at least in the rankings, including the final ranking, was never worse than 13th in the country.
You probably could, Jim, but you know what? They had a chance to go to Kentucky and set themselves up as the #1 team in the SEC. There's a hold down inside by Parker. They also had a chance in the postseason conference tournament. And think about it. We had them at home against Auburn, where they just blew Auburn out the first game that Porter was ruled ineligible. And then in the SEC tournament, second round, Auburn beat them. Oh, that was Bonner grabbing a piece.
Fournette unable to convert.
Nelson's second shot today, where he just threw it up as an unusual stroke. That one hit for him. And this press will just wear a team down. Now, Fournette's got an angle.
It's so seductive because you don't want to get in this kind of game.
Well,
quick shot and everything. And
if we think back the first few possessions, it was Butler's game. Half court at a time. They got a chance to show you the real good half-court defensive tendencies, and now Florida has made it a Florida game, using transition baskets to really pick this tempo up. They set an all-time Florida record, scoring 131. Of course, that was New Hampshire, not Butler. But they don't mind putting that ball up.
Parker just beats the shot clock.
Bonner on a push. And they've gone, 10 deep in this game already with players. Starting lineup sitting over in the side, getting a lot of rest.
You made the comment in the first game here where Illinois took Penn out of the tournament, beating them by 10. That Illinois may have the second best 5 in the country. But I'll tell you, Florida almost, if not surpasses them, matches them in depth.
They certainly do, of quality players. And you don't see that much anymore. I mean, we'll see a Duke team tonight, #1 seed in this region. It goes about 7 deep. So if you said, well, let's have a tournament among players that are number 8 through 11, 8 through 12, clubs like Florida and Illinois are kind of special in this day and age.
Robish from the outside, following a Nelson foul.
Now, there's no press, Jim, that you will ever design that will be able to defend that shot. The whole point is you usually say teams are not going to make that shot from the corner with nobody under the rebound.
Bonner stuck for a moment. Florida does everything with a lot of snap. That ball deflected, and Fournette comes down with it.
You notice whenever Butler can get this game into a half-court type game, the advantage swings over to them. Archie into the ball game, 145-pounder, but with a good shot.
That ball was deflected by Bonner. Jordan coming up short.
Jordan, having missed yesterday's practice, sometimes has a tendency to throw you off a little bit.
He missed the practice yesterday to attend the funeral of an aunt back in Detroit. 3-point shot.
I really don't like the team that Florida has on the floor right now for the half-court set at all. We got Parker.
Graves is pinned.
But boy, Florida makes it happen with their defense, don't they?
All over the place. Nelson, stutter step outside, Robish reached in. You're expecting the UConn game in your area against Utah State. Talk about a win streak. We'll be getting you there shortly. Getting a little later tip time due to the pace of play there earlier today, with Tennessee being pushed
Jim,
all the way with Louisiana Lafayette.
Jim, as we saw in the first game in the Penn situation, sitting on the sidelines as a coach, foul trouble became of paramount importance to them. With Billy Donovan, he doesn't have to worry about that. And it really takes a load off his mind knowing that he can go so deep down the bench in almost every position.
Darnell Archie with that last rebound for the Bulldogs.
Archie on the floor. When you think of Marshall and Hangee being so powerful, Archie doesn't look like he'd fit on the same team, does he?
Well, he's from the outside. Graves with a three, banks it home.
Tremendous range in the shot. Graves from small town USA. Unlimited range.
Swit City, Indiana, his hometown.
What's it, 300 population, something like that? Got his brother Matthew, outstanding player at Butler, preceded him.
I'll bet there are 300 glued to the sets right now.
I would be willing to say population of 300, and I'll bet you I could count 150 baskets outside in that town.
The land of Hoosiers. That goes with the house for sure. The basket. You may not be familiar with Butler University, but again, it's a liberal arts college about 5 miles north of downtown Indianapolis, 4,000 students, originally known back in the 1800s as Northwestern Christian College, but a local attorney and school founder had the distinction of having the school renamed after him, Ovid Butler, and they're making their third appearance in the NCAA tournament in the last 4 years.
You know what else they were was the third for them? They were the third school in the nation to allow women to come in on an equal basis. Two things to be third.
There's a little more basketball history than you might think, too. We'll tell you more about that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Inside, that whistle goes against Hamilton. Florida is first.
Wouldn't you think that IU would be the first school in the state? Butler was the first college in the state of Indiana. You'd never get that one in a trivia question.
Well, you think of some of the other schools too. Purdue, Notre Dame.
Yeah.
Braves. A little run here by Butler, down 17-8 or 17-9.
Mike Marshall, number 22, in for Butler.
We're looking at the man that's the #1 free throw shooter in the MCC.
Only what, 91%?
Right. If he had enough attempts, he'd be up there from a national standpoint. In that town of 300, like I said, plenty of backboards. I guarantee he worked on that stroke from the time he was born.
Bulldogs within one.
Oh, nice job by Marshall with the upper body. This team is really well drilled in the half-court defense.
Hey, banks it home.
Number 5, Teddy Dupay.
Teddy Dupay just banked home a close-range shot. Florida's first field goal in 4 minutes. It followed a pair of Graves free throws.
Boy, Graves was lucky. Being double-teamed by two players about 6'9", he was lucky to find a passing lane.
Marshall, big body inside, no whistle. Out it comes to Archie.
Well, Archie should have been ready to shoot that shot. He's not going to get many better looks than that.
Graves, high arcing shot that ties it at 19.
And held his head up.
He's just knocked on a pick by Haslam. No call. That'll knock the wind out of you. Haslam hook. No. Florida saves it in the corner. Stolen by Cornett.
As long as Butler can keep this in a half-court game, they are effective.
Butler has come back from a 17-9 deficit to tie it.
Well, it looks like another SEC team, Jim. It's got their hands full, huh?
It's just
they keep coming up with wins, but not easy.
Every game in the tournament for the SEC has been a struggle. All wins. Hamilton reached in to force the steal. Swept away by Brent Wright. Hamilton almost got him off. Cornette reached in. This collision.
And you know what about this, Jim? Pretty good piece of officiating in this respect. You know, it's a no call, but be consistent with this no call. Graves out there trying to draw the charge away from the ball and took a pretty good shot. But boy, he has made some good shots, having coming off this bench. 2 long threes and some foul shots as well.
This will be the first free throw of the game for the Gators. Graves came in, give his team 5 points. And Butler with possession, a chance to take the lead. 5:20 to go in a half.
They've been able to do it even when Jackson sits down. Jordan has not had the big first half, kind of like Michael Jordan that played in the first game.
Hangee, top of the key, back of the rim. Up ahead, and Hangee got a hand on it. Here come the Bulldogs the other way.
Dupay tried to throw it over the... Oh, boy, that's going!
Oh, almost. Off the top of the backboard. Hangee to the line for 2, foul on Brent Wright.
Dupay did not have the good angle on that pass. Tried to throw it over the top.
That's off the shot clock.
Well, actually, that would not have counted.
Couldn't count that.
Not have counted. But how about Hangee took it right to the hoop?
Would have been timely.
Well, Hangee was an all-state fullback and a defensive end. Florida State and Kansas were recruiting him for football. He won the state title. Not too many kids do this as an outstanding player in both football and basketball.
That was at Cathedral High School in Indianapolis. 2 free throws. He's given Butler the lead. First lead of the game for the Bulldogs.
Now watch this half-court defensive set for Butler. They really do guard you. And with Marshall and Hangee, look at Marshall move those feet for a big man.
Miller over the top. Harvey pinned.
Oh, that's a push by Haslam. That should be on Haslam on the push. It is.
Look at Butler's intensity right now. Compare any 2 players in the tournament and find out who has the edge in the player matchup feature. Check out March Mayhem at cbs.sportsline.com or America Online, keyword CBS Sports Line.
Jim, a lot of times when you are a bigger man, as in the case with Florida with Haslam out there, Wright out there, and Harvey out there, a guy who's 6'4" or 6'5" that's got a powerful chest can get down underneath you and force you to push off, and that's what happened to Haslam on the play.
1-1 for Mike Marshall, the most valuable player of the Midwestern Collegiate Conference Tournament. We'll get another one.
I'll tell you something else about Butler's team. They won their conference. They won their conference tournament, 12-2 in the regular season. Did not have a man, Jim, and I say this couldn't have happened anywhere else in the United States, where a team won the regular season and the postseason tournament, did not have a man first team all conference. Is that amazing?
That is so seldom. How
unbelievable.
Not one, what you would call star player in the conference.
And you know, that's one of those things where if the coach doesn't get Coach of the Year, you say, hey, what's going on?
He did get Coach of the Year. Collier named the conference Coach of the Year. That's happened a number of times for him.
Harvey tried to double down, does Hangee, but Harvey is so quick on the inside.
Coming up, Pennzoil at the half. Greg Gumbel, Clark Kellogg will get you caught up on all the scores and highlights, plus live look-ins to other regions, all coming up on Pennzoil at the half. Collier 4 times Conference Coach of the Year. In fact, 2 straight. Hangee, by the way, has just collected his 3rd.
That could hurt him.
Harvey at the line to shoot 2.
Harvey, Mr. Basketball in the state of Georgia, considered one of the top prospects in the country last year.
Graves for Hangee.
Graves, who came in off the bench and, as I said, really threw down some great shots. Harvey this year has made 1 3-point shot, and that was a heave, not an intended regular 3. But you wouldn't consider him a substitute. I mean, this Florida team just got about 10 starters.
More pressure put on Thomas Jackson. Stolen away by Weeks. And Graves comes right back with the theft.
That ball should have been thrown up in the air for the lob.
That's last touch by Florida. 4 minutes, 6 seconds to go in the half.
Weeks realizes it now. He had the opportunity to throw over the top of the defenders. He played in their hands by throwing it low.
Outside, and Jordan with the jumper.
Good offensive set on the out-of-bounds play. Got it to the right man. Jordan gets untracked.
A 16-4 Butler run. Miller, 3 players around him. Cornette blocked it. Miller was on the line.
Yes, he came from out of bounds in to catch that ball. Cornette doing a terrific job helping out with weak side defense.
We do have a 5 in trouble. Only the first half. So far, there have been 20 teams advancing to the second round. 11 of them have come from 3 conferences.
Jim, I always say, and we talk about this throughout the course of the year, the ultimate report card of college basketball is the NCAA tournament. And all year long, I think everybody agreed the SEC, the Big Ten, and the Big 12 were the top conferences in the country. The NCAA tournament is your report card, and so far, they're coming up all A's.
They each, all 3 of them, got 6 bids to the tournament, and they're 11-0 right now. SEC, Big 12, Big 10.
But one in trouble here.
Jackson pass to Fay. That's goaltending.
Yep. You can get the ball on the glass, but it was on the way down. Nice job by Jackson to turn the corner here and not be afraid to take it inside. You can see that ball clearly on the way down after it hit the glass.
Largest lead of the game for the Bulldogs, 6.
Now, will this young Florida team start getting frustrated if they can't get their own way, creating points off their defense?
Stolen, and then right back to Harvey. Harvey misses inside, tipped by Miller. Weeks. And on the 4th try, it goes for the Gators.
It doesn't happen very often that you see the great blocking out by Butler where somebody gets 3 shots at him. Here's a mismatch right on Jackson. They ought to get the ball back to Jackson. He's got, here it is. He can make something happen with a big man guarding him like that. Good smart play here by Jackson. He's going to get the high pick.
10 on the shot clock.
Being guarded by big people, he ought to penetrate. Nice.
Nifty dribbling, 5 on the shot clock. Needs some help. Graves looks back. Sees the dire situation, no rim. That's a shot clock violation.
I'll fault that to Jackson. He did not take advantage of the mismatch.
Beginning Tuesday, April 4th, CBS presents an extraordinary television event. Falcone, the FBI's best agent, going deeper into the mob than anyone's been before. Compelling new drama, Falcone, comes to CBS April 4th. 2:20 to go in the half. Gators led by 8 early in this game. Weeks cuts it to 2.
Well, I tell you, Weeks can come off that bench and explode for points. 3rd team All-SEC player, only getting about 18-20 minutes a game.
There's a Butler team, again facing pressure. Now they break the press.
Nice bounce pass by Jackson that time through 2 defenders.
Butler has not lost a game since January the 15th to Detroit Mercy, the conference representative in the tournament the last 2 years, and a school that won games in the first round each of the last 2 tournaments.
They lost to 2 teams that have already been knocked out of the tournament. They lost to UNC Wilmington and Ball State.
Back to Jackson, kicks it out. Jordan, shot clock violation for a 2nd straight trip.
2 trips down, pretty good defense half court by Florida.
Archie will come back for the Bulldogs.
Jim, if you look at the score up there right now, you'd have to say this is a Butler first half. You know, Florida would like to have this score pushing 50 as opposed to 25.
They've tried to accelerate the pace with the full court pressure, but low scoring, that's Butler's territory. 3-point shot, in and out, almost tipped in accidentally by Cornette, and a follow-up by Miller to tie it.
Miller moving inside a lot today.
Bonner's 3 looked like it was going to go. Jackson takes the middle. Looks to the wing for some help. Archie launches short. Long rebound. Here comes Florida. Nelson.
Nice job by Nelson. Boy, Bonner not shy, is he?
Why not?
Off the bench and throws up too. But if you watch Florida practice, they practice very much like we saw at Kentucky under Rick Pitino. Everybody is given the green light to shoot that three.
That was a 2-point shot by Bonner. 8-0 run by the Gators here late in the half.
And speaking of Pitino, how did he used to holler at guys that would have that foot on the line, Jim? The worst shot in the game. Making it a 2 as opposed to the 3 if you just step back another 6 inches.
Remember, he'd draw that line. Nothing within 3 to 5 feet of inside the arc.
Right.
10-second differential. Jackson out to Graves. Gets Nelson to commit. He'll shoot 3.
Nice pump fake by Graves. Nelson's got to stay on the floor.
And a 91% shooter will go to the line for 3. We'll set up the Gators then, it looks like, at the other end for the last shot of the half. Butler, and you say, all right, the state of Indiana, we always hear about the Hoosiers, the Boilermakers with Katie in the tournament so often. But this is a program that beat Indiana back in '93.
He missed the first one. He doesn't do that often. He looks up and can't believe he missed the shot.
Butler also beat Notre Dame 5 straight times in the 90s. They'll have 2 more opportunities at the line. We'll be right back. Again, talking about Butler's heritage, Jim Nance, Billy Packer is a Butler program that beat Indiana in '93, lost to Indiana in overtime in '96, but defeated Notre Dame 5 straight times. They won't schedule anymore. Beat Digger his last year for the Fighting Irish, and then John McLeod's first 4 years on the bench for the Fighting Irish. He lost to Butler.
Well, let me tell you something. Maybe in the 90s, but there's a guy coaching up there at Notre Dame right now. You better not be looking to play him too often in this decade. Tremendous job by Mr. Doherty. He's got red, white, and blue there.
A new fashion statement. Just when I thought the headbands had become the rage, now we got the red, white, and blue mouthpiece.
When you live in a town of 300 people, you've got a big selection at department stores.
Graves for the tie, yes. Let's see how Florida handles the last shot of the half.
Nelson better get it up in a hurry here. He's wasted about 5 seconds just getting the ball in play.
Looking for a pick, now wanting to go inside, right, off the rim, tipped up, and by Bonner.
He got hit in the eye on the play as well, but he gets 2.
It gives Florida the halftime lead. Just so many big bodies crashing the boards for the Gators.
They come off the bench, everybody with a lot of confidence that they can score.
He hit a big 3 in the late going, Matt Bonner, and then the tip in with a second to go before halftime. Let's go over to Bonnie Bernstein. Bonnie?
All right, Jim, thank you. Billy, you and I were talking about Butler's defense before the game. What have their players done to really keep things interesting?
Well, obviously they do a great job. They're sound, they're fundamental. I thought we had a couple missed opportunities in the break where we turned the ball over. And then obviously a few times when the shot clock was winding down for Butler, we fouled shooters at the end of the shot clock. But they do a great job of helping. This is a game where you really got to make the extra pass and try to burn their help with skip passes.
That'll be the main topic of discussion in the locker room.
Well, obviously we got to try to get the pace of the game going. I think we've had a lot of success and been very effective when the game's going up and down the floor. So we got to keep preaching our style of play.
All right, Billy, thanks.
Thank you.
Jim?
Thank you, Bonnie. That's the end of the first half with the score. Florida 31, Butler 29. We'll continue on the road to the Final Four. All right, welcome back, everybody.
You know Florida's going to try to pick up the pace. What do your players need to do to keep the tempo where you want it?
Well, I don't know that the tempo has been where we want it, but we're hanging in there because we've attacked them, and we've also been able to be aggressive on defense. But we've not done the job on the boards.
I got something there. different Gators scored in that first half, and again, the bench led the way with 18 of the 31 Florida points. Let's check in with Monty Bernstein.
Okay. Barry, you know Florida's going to try to pick up the pace. What do your players need to do to keep the tempo where you want it?
Well, I don't know that the tempo has been where we want it, but we're hanging in there because we've attacked them, and we've also been able to be aggressive on defense. But we've not done the job on the boards. We got to do a better job there.
Well, we'll try to keep you safe. No balls flying over.
All right,
Jim.
Talk about a hard-hitting interview. Gets hit in the head. Barry Collier and his Butler Bulldogs trying not to get knocked out here of the NCAA tournament first round.
Jim, we mentioned in the first game about the great depth that Illinois had, and we also talked about Florida. Both of these teams being able to come off their bench. In the case of Illinois, 50% of the points scored in the first half came from the bench. Even better for Florida, 18 of 31 points. So Billy Donovan getting the production that he wants with that very deep and talented bench.
See, Mike Marshall kicked it out of bounds. They did not get a single field goal from Marshall nor Hangy, the two forwards for the Butler Bulldogs in that first half. They were a combined 0 for 6 from the field.
Marshall on Miller, giving him everything he can handle in the man-to-man. Just doesn't let him penetrate, and Miller is great with the ball for a man his size. Normally makes a curl and takes it all the way to the basket, but he can't do it with Marshall.
Wright comes up short, plucked away by Hangy. Ryland Hangy.
Florida does a nice job here coming back and picking him on the press. It wasn't even after a made field goal.
Bounce pass, Marshall, no! That would have been the first field goal for Marshall.
Great job by Miller coming over on the weak side to help out.
Miller, 3. Rattles out. Jordan, good rebound over Haslam. Hangy thought about it. Now drive stuck to the corner. Jackson, no. Chase down. Marshall trying to tip it to a teammate.
Got
2
numbers.
on 1. Back to Dupay. Layup.
Marshall didn't hustle getting back. You know, with that little bit of ball handling mishap, Marshall could have gotten there to stop Dupay.
Doubled up. Jackson. Long pass thrown away.
Well, I said at the top of the show, the key is to double up, get the ball out of Jackson's hands, and Butler will have trouble. And they did again.
Collier wants a timeout. Team looked unsettled on its last couple of possessions. I have to say, so far, Billy, in this tournament, we haven't had the super upset yet. We've had 2 10s beat a 7. That was Gonzaga over Louisville last night. That's not a huge upset for anybody who follows college basketball. And today, Seton Hall, a 10 over a 7 Oregon in overtime. Where has Cinderella gone?
Shaheen Holloway, Jim, what did he bring back memories for the BYU people? Danny Ings, coast to coast.
Against Notre Dame?
And Tyus Edney. Remember when UCLA went all the way to the national championship? His coast to coast play against Missouri. Holloway making that drive all the way through everybody to give the Seton Hall the win.
Hold on a minute here. This is going against Hangy. That's his 4th. Ryland Hangy.
He's going to have to come out. Marshall comes right in for him. As we saw Penn get into foul trouble in the first game, Butler quickly gets into serious foul trouble in this game because Hangy and Marshall really do the job in the half-court defense.
Dupay to the corner. Nelson inside. He gets it. Haslam blocked by Cornette from behind. Well, Billy, let me ask you, is there still time for the Cinderella in this tournament? We've got, including the 4 games in progress now and 8 more tonight.
Well, you know, Lamar has never lost a first-round game in the NCAA tournament. We really told Mike Dean today, Mike, you got a great tradition here. Now, of course, they are facing Duke, but, hey, if you look for those statistics, 0 losses in NCAA tournament first-round action for Lamar.
So those have been going back 17 years since the last time Lamar was in the tournament. But we'll say this, Lamar, as far as the 16, just watching him practice, watching him on tape, we have the last few days, they look better than what you would say is a traditional 16 seed in this tournament. That was on Jordan, his first.
Oh, nobody picks up, no foul called. Haslam thought he had an easy route to the basket. And here again, you see that double team. And what's so tough for a small guard is being double teamed by men of the size that Florida puts on you.
Cornette. Well, he got stuck underneath. Got it back, though.
I'll tell you, these referees are allowing them to play rugged basketball underneath, aren't they?
Just a lot of contact going without a whistle.
But it's been consistent on both ends. You know, the ball gets down inside the paint, the referees are letting them go after each other.
Jackson, back out Cornette. He steps in. Deep and leaner. And again, loose ball to Butler. I've heard before, Billy, that in the tournament they let a little more go. Not that there's any plan, but it seems like it's not called as tightly. Jackson for the three. Boy, Butler's getting his chances. Another one.
Another rebound, and what did Collier say at halftime? And there's a travel. Could have been a foul. He said, we've got to attack the glass. They're being out-rebounded 21-14 in the first half. They picked up 3 offensive rebounds there.
Butler went 4 minutes at the start of the game without scoring, and now they've gone 3 minutes to open the second half without a point.
Dupay has not been able to get a 3-point shot off. He's buried down inside now. He's going to come back out over these screens and try to get open. Jordan does a good job beating him to the spot.
Nelson came off a screen, front of the rim. Miller, well, he almost tipped it home.
Miller's so versatile. He can go out beyond 30 feet or he can go up over the rim. Bad pass by Dupay.
Trying to really hit a heavy bounce pass inside. Deflected, stolen back though by Dupay.
Good hit ahead to himself. Second layup he's made in his half. Looking at it, double team coming up again.
4-0 start in the half for Florida. Dupay knocks it out.
Ooh, Dupay is
He might have been hurt there.
He's got problems with his shoulder as it is.
Florida led 31-29 at halftime over Butler. They have shut out the Bulldogs to begin the second half. The Midwestern Collegiate Conference champion Butler Bulldogs in the NCAA tournament for the 3rd time in 4 years. Inside, Robish, yes, +1. Butler has not won an NCAA tournament game since 1962. That year, the Bulldogs beat Bowling Green by a point. And look at Robish on the inside. Bowling Green had a couple of players that some might remember, Howie Comives and Nate Thurman, beat them. Then lost to Kentucky, only to defeat Western Kentucky in what was then a regional consolation game. Not won an NCAA tournament game now in 38 years.
Lost to Cincinnati in 97 and New Mexico in 98 in regard to first-round losses. No consolation games anymore in those NCAA regionals, or what were regionals in those days. There's that high-low again. Great help from the weak side by Marshall. He is quick off his feet for a man his size, isn't he?
The Gators and a fight here in the first round. Florida, coached by Billy the Kid, 34-year-old Billy Donovan, the most outstanding player in the 1987 Southeast Regional, leading Providence to the Final Four in New Orleans. His coach was Rick Pitino. And now in his 4th year for the Gators, he's improved the team record each of the 4 years. He took them to the Sweet 16 last season, Billy. Wife Christine is here, mother of 3.
Billy still is a player. They've got the 3-on-3 Billy D challenge down in Florida.
Pretty tough.
Yeah, and he and John Pelfrey and the staff have never lost a game. I accused him of also refereeing those games. There's Marshall getting in the way, but he stays in great shape.
Jackson pulls it back out. It's Pelfrey and also Anthony Grant, another assistant. They don't lose. They play the students. It's a lot of talent, though, when you talk about Grant, Division I player, and Pelfrey, of course, was part of the Unforgettables at Kentucky. He's a player.
Here we see Butler right where they want to be. Striking distance, low-scoring basketball game with one exception, Hangie's foul trouble. I would think they'd like their position now.
Cornett slams it. One step to the hole, the assist by Robish.
And if you are Donovan, you're holding your head right now because your opponent is making them play a game that you don't want to play.
We saw John Pelfrey on the bench behind Donovan.
Who was guarding Christian Laettner when he took the shot? Huh?
Mr. Pelfrey.
And again, great interior defense.
Jordan for the lead. Oh, tipped in and out.
And rebounded.
Yes! Can you believe it? It hung on the rim.
Billy Donovan wants the timeout. Again, his team is not playing their game. Butler is.
Butler has come back again. Twice in this game, and they now lead the number 5 seed by 1. Butler leads Florida. We've always said in recent years and all week leading up to this, beware of the 12 seed.
Cornett, the number 2 shot blocker in the MCC as a freshman, following up nicely. Nobody putting a body on him. Good-looking freshman player out of Cincinnati is Cornett.
See what Florida can do. It's turned it over its last 2 possessions.
Bonner in the game, who came in with some big field goals off the bench in the first half, and does it again.
There he is. Basket by Matt Bonner has given Florida the lead back by 1. Twice, feisty Butler has fought back from deficits to take the lead, down 8 at one point in the first half. Gators led by 2 at the intermission. Jordan on the baseline, pin, kicks it out. 3-point shot, and Butler's back in front. Jordan with the 3.
Really nice distribution of the ball. There's where Miller is so good, but look at Marshall beating.
He got a hand, though. Foul called on Marshall. Looked like a clean steal.
I think it was a very clean steal, but how about his quickness? Watch this right here. That's all ball, Jim. No question about it. And Marshall cannot afford to get any cheap fouls because he already has Hangee on the bench with 4.
That's just his first, though, on Mike Marshall.
He's listed at 235 pounds. He must have been some high school football player, you know what?
State champion in both, as you mentioned in the first half, Billy, in football and basketball over in Cincinnati. That ball kicked, reset to 35. So the SEC, nothing's been easy for that conference, but all wins so far. LSU, Kentucky, Tennessee, and Auburn have advanced the largest margin of victory. 5 by Tennessee, 5 by Kentucky in double overtime yesterday over St. Bonaventure.
Graves almost gets a piece. Is it Bonner's day?
No, not on that one. Weeks turnaround.
Not a good shot to put it up so quickly. Weeks being hollered at a little bit by Donovan, saying we can get something better than that.
Foul on Cornett. Sunday on 60 Minutes. Who are the new masters of the net? The internet, that is. They're taking the cyber world by storm. Sunday on 60 Minutes.
And Weeks sits down, Jim. He turned around and gave a little mouth to Donovan. Donovan didn't take it at all and said, son, you'll get some rest on the pine here, and just yanked him. He did not like that shot. Weeks didn't like his coach's comments, so he's sitting.
Miller soft roll.
How smooth is he?
Spin move on the way to the basket.
South Dakota native Miller.
He has 9 in the game, all SEC player. The game is tied at 39. Graves, tough pass, and last touch by Florida.
Well, if you're Graves, why would you throw the ball down in there, Jim? There's nothing really there. You're taking a chance. If you get it down inside, the man can't deliver the basket. Been better to pull that back out, rotate the ball.
Graves had a huge first half. Foul on the way to the basket. He'll shoot a pair.
Well, we thought it would be automatic in the first half, but the 91% free throw shooter missed him. He could not believe it.
Well, you look at these two programs, you say Butler, Florida. Wow, how many Hall of Famers are there from the Florida program in history? None.
0.
Butler, 2 Hall of Famers.
Well, yeah, right. You've got one of the all-time Hall of Famers in Tony Hinkle.
And Harlan Page, coach from back in the 1920s, also in Springfield, Massachusetts.
You know, this is something I did not know until I was reading the background about Tony Hinkle. Everybody knows about what a great basketball coach he was. He also coached football and baseball there at Butler.
That's not all.
Had 1,060 total wins.
Baseball coach, football coach, basketball coach, athletic director, and chairman of the physical education department, and also this has something to do with the way we look at the game today.
This is an amazing story. He decided that the basketball back in those days used to be a brown ball. Those of us that played back in those times remember brown balls. He's the one that said an orange basketball would be better for vision for the players and for the fans, and he's the guy that adopted the color of the ball that we see today.
Turned it to orange. That was Tony Hinkle, Mr. Butler, he was known as. We lost him about 10 years ago, but in the Hall of Fame, part of the rich heritage that many people really aren't unaware of at Butler. Inside a foul, this game tied at 41.
Jim, we talk about the great heritage of Indiana. We know about John Wooden being inducted in the Basketball Hall of Fame, both as a player and coach. Lenny Wilkins being the second one to be in that position. But Tony Hinkle has been inducted in both a football and basketball Hall of Fame. That's some combination.
There is a Cinderella story developing here. How long will it last? Butler, the number 12 seed, winners of 15 games in a row, tied with 5th-seeded Florida, came in with a 24-7 record. We've had 6 ties, 5 lead changes. Mike Marshall's at the line for a pair for the Butler Bulldogs.
Marshall is not the guy, though, that you'd want to have in the line, only a 41% free throw shooter. Jim, this has been a game of contrasting styles, and it's been all Butler's way in regard to style. They're playing a half-court game, which is what they like to play, what Florida does not like to play, and Florida has been unable to get Butler in a run-and-shoot game. So right now we're sitting at a 40-point type game. Florida at this point would like to be up in the 70s.
12 minutes to go. Butler up 1 and a near steal. Instead, foul called against the Bulldogs. Second foul on Marshall. Butler continues to hang with the Gators. Timeout on the floor. The Butler Bulldogs trying to see if the slipper fits. Florida down 1. A number 5 seed. Only once has the school ever been seeded better. That was 94. They were at 3 and they went to the Final Four. Joel Cornett, the freshman, has come in off the bench and starred more than once.
Really like his game, Jim. We watched him on film against Detroit in the conference final, and he had an outstanding game, 18 points, 9 rebounds in that one.
The Midwestern Collegiate Conference has won a game in the NCAA tournament each of the last 2 years, both courtesy of Detroit Mercy. Knocked out St. John's 2 years ago, UCLA in the opening round a year ago. But Butler against Florida, yes, the Bulldogs are up 1 with 11 and a half to go in the game. Ball knocked out of the hands of Bonner.
Graves got a piece in there. UCLA had their hands full last night with Ball State until Jason Cabano had that big second half. Team that has been on quite some roll since Rush has gotten back.
5 seconds on the shot clock. Wright has to take the long one.
And it hit the rim, so his team had a chance to get the offensive rebound. the reset, but didn't get it.
Jordan drives. Yes, three-point advantage now for the Butler Bulldogs.
Boy, that was a tough shot. But what I like about Butler, when they have a chance to attack so the game doesn't get completely slowed down, they'll go and attack. Weeks back in the game. Nice move by Billy Donovan.
Harvey, and yes, muscles his way for the basket. Stolen away. Weeks steps in, jump shot, and Florida goes back in front.
That's why Donovan is an outstanding coach. He disciplined the player, but there was no mood situation, and he's not putting him back in the game, and Weeks responds to the benching.
The three puts the Gators up by 2. Wow, how quick was that? We'll be right back. It was a 3, clearly, for Kenyon Weeks.
See, Jim, I really like to see a coach discipline a player immediately, as Billy Donovan did with Weeks, yanking him down the minute he gave him some mouth, but then not holding any grudges. Put Weeks back out on the floor because he knows he's the right guy for this time, and Weeks delivered for him. You need that mutual respect, player and coach. Packing things back in a little bit right now. Jackson needs to extend this defense some.
Cornette almost lost it out of bounds. 10 on the shot clock. Robish, he struggled to get to that one. 5 on the shot clock. Look at the freshman go. Gives it up. Marshall's first basket of the game.
Sensational play by Cornette. Crossover dribble. Good low dribbling technique to make that drive and penetration. He's showing you something, isn't he?
It was all Cornette.
Yes, sir.
Under 10 to go with another tie.
Wright and Harvey trying that high-low. Those two work pretty well together. Marshall puts Wright on the floor.
Inside, he's open.
Cornette got a piece.
Tipped up once. Ball on the floor, Jackson has it.
They could have some numbers here.
Graves takes middle to the wing. Jackson, he drives in. Robish with the follow.
Great playing by Butler right here.
Right from the outside. That's a 3. Back of the rim. All Butler around that one. Cornette, boy, never dragged that left foot.
Boy, he is having an outstanding game. Well, Nick Lee, we saw in the first game, Jim, an outstanding freshman for Penn. Cornette is one of those names to put in the book. He'll be a college star before he finishes out.
Get that out of here. 10 seconds on the shot clock.
Graves would like a jump shot.
Drives, gives it up. Ball just somehow bounced around to the back of the rim.
Almost went in.
Wasn't a shot attempt. Right from the free throw line.
Didn't like the shot. That was 1 against 5. Butler really doing a great job in defensive transition. Everybody getting back.
Wright is 0 for 6 from the field. Billy, we're approaching 8 minutes to go in this game, and Butler leads Florida by 2. Jackson in traffic. What a shot! Split the defenders.
Billy Donovan has 2 guys, 2 normal starters sitting on the sidelines. He may need to call a timeout to get him in because a lot of the clock is moving here.
Oh, Marshall from behind whistled for his 3rd.
That saved Florida. Florida wanted these subs. They need Miller in the game, Haslam in the game, and they got him in because of foul.
Hainsey will also return for Butler with 4 fouls when we come back. He's a crafty one. Thomas Jackson, sophomore from East Lansing, Michigan. In the summers, he certainly spent a lot of time playing a little hoop with Mateen Cleaves and the crew from Michigan State, raised in the shadows of Michigan State University. He's helped his team now to a 4-point lead with under 8 minutes to play.
Jim, one of the things that Butler has done is keep Florida off balance. Now, instead of just worrying about half court at a time, again, when they get in a chance to attack, as Jackson did there, they take advantage of it. Good screening, bad passing.
Steal the inbounds and the numbers. Will he lob it? Oh, pulled down by Weeks. Oh, they were going for the alley-oop.
That was telegraphed that time. Sensational job by Weeks. 2-on-1 break that just doesn't develop.
Weeks, the only senior and recruited by Lon Kruger. And that's a Florida turnover.
Well, Haslam does not play the high-low post. You see that by Weeks. And it would have been an easy 2 had that pass been a little higher. But Weeks did a great job defensively. But now, the clock and also the pressure shifts over to Florida. Don't you feel it, Jim?
Yeah, you've sensed it really, Billy, almost the entire half.
Florida goes to the zone now, so look for Graves to find a spot. There he is.
Three-pointer from the wing. 7-point lead for the Butler Bulldogs.
That was tremendous play by Butler. Graves held his spot against that zone. You could sense it coming. Great job. Florida's going to start feeling a little tension here. No place to go. That was a
Almost
walk.
a travel. He carried it on his hip. Haslam with a muscle effort inside for a hard-earned 2.
That was a big break for Florida because Miller did travel on the play.
First field goal in 4 minutes, 4 seconds for the Gators, down 5. Again, a 5 seed has lost in the opening round 11 straight years in the tournament. But thus far, we've had Texas advance, Kentucky with a double overtime win over St. Bonaventure. Connecticut's playing and has been leading today in its game against Utah State, but Florida has its work certainly in store here. Cornette, oh, that slides off the rim. And Miller, here come the Gators.
Tim, Billy Donovan and Barry Collier have faced each other before as coaching opponents. That's when Donovan was at Marshall. Collier got the better of them in that particular game.
Billy, let's take a look at the CBS Sportsline stat of the game. Look at this advantage at the free throw line. Only 3 attempts by Florida, plus 11 advantage made free throws for the Bulldogs. Complete tournament coverage at cbs.sportsline.com. Miller has it stripped loose.
Look at Marshall fighting down in low.
And how about
another foul? A jump ball!
Arrow belongs to Butler. Haslam also was fighting for it.
Again, Marshall at 6'4", 235, so strong, gets his hands in there against a bigger man and controls it.
Hangy with the ball with 4 fouls. Marshall has 3.
Find Jackson quickly.
6 minutes to go.
See how Florida got out of that zone knowing how dangerous Graves was. They're back to their man-to-man. Weeks trying to get some help.
All the way over to Graves for the 3. What a pass that was. Cornette with the putback. And he'll shoot 2.
He has been the man in this second half. Great offensive rebound among taller people.
Temple with an easy time today against Lafayette, up 20. Cornette, he's had quite the all-around game. 6 points, 4 rebounds, 2 blocks, 2 steals. Give him 7 points.
As I said, in the MCC tourney final, had an 8-4 game against Detroit. At Detroit, he was 18 points and 9 rebounds. These are big misses, but Butler getting to the foul line. Florida's not.
Got 1 of 2. UConn's game has tightened up with Utah State, while Tulsa's is blowing out UNLV.
They have a stop, a hold on the play. Billy Donovan doing some talking over there and asking for the foul. Gets it.
Second on Jackson.
I was holding my breath there. I thought there was a technical.
I did too, because he pointed to Donovan. And Nelson at the line.
Billy Donovan working these officials.
Florida averages, Billy, 24 attempts, free throw attempts a game. This is the 4th, and makes the front end of a 1-on-1.
Well, on the year, they've shot 70 more than their opponents, so they do get to the line because they aggressively go to the basket. But you'd have to give Butler a lot of credit in their game plan. They've taken it to the basket when the opportunity was there.
1 of 2 for the freshman from West Virginia, St. Albans, West Virginia.
There's that strength again by Marshall.
He used that upper body strength you talked about.
Unbelievable there. A normal ball player would have lost that. He is so powerful. He just wouldn't be denied.
5 minutes to go, 5-point lead, and swatted away. Harvey almost ran it down. Nice effort.
Boy, Harvey showed some kind of leaping ability on that play. Weak side, he comes over there and just keeps going in the air.
12 on the shot clock.
But you know, normally in these kind of situations, a team that's not going to be able to hold the lead starts getting very tentative. This Butler team, you don't sense that at all, do you, Jim?
Nor when they got down today by 8 in the first half. They never lost composure.
They're still attacking.
Graves with 2 on the shot clock. Got the back of the rim and tipped over to Nelson.
Weeks is open.
Weeks steps in, bypasses the 3, and last touch.
There was a case where they thought they had it inside, but Butler dropping back down with weak side help, knocking the ball out of bounds, which would have been a sure 2 for Haslam.
Teddy Dupay III comes in.
They'd like to get him open for a 3.
Miller, boy, that was right on line. We had the angle, but comes up short. 4.5 to play from what would be the tournament's biggest upset to date.
There's Marshall looking to screen Dupay.
Cornette jumper, 7-point lead for the underdog Bulldogs.
As I said, they are not hesitant at all.
Cornette with 9, 7 of them in this half.
Now, Florida cannot start thinking 3 here. They still got to play their game.
Miller will take a 3 though, and he can fire it. Brings it down with that shot to 4.
A lot of time on this clock. Don't have to panic, but that was a good 3-point attempt for Miller.
And a reach-in called against, I believe, Weeks. Yes, Weeks called for that one.
Now here's a situation, Jim, where you can't afford to be fouling on that press.
It's not the 1-and-1 quite yet. 3:51 remaining. Butler ball with the lead. 2 timeouts apiece. The arrow belongs to Florida. Mike Marshall, we've been awed by his strength, but how about his leaping ability? You talk about martial law. I mean, Sammo Hung can't jump that law.
Jim, I can remember back in the days when Gil Brandt used to be scouting the NFL for the Dallas Cowboys and would look for basketball players that could play football. Here's a football player that can play basketball. I've seen LeVar Arrington hurdle over the line of scrimmage in a football, but I'll tell you what, Marshall ought to reconsider. He wants to be a coach and teacher, but that guy, the way he plays right now, I bet you there aren't many gifted linebackers in the country at his size that can do what he can do. Gil Brandt, where are you?
Cornell Green was a basketball player at Utah State before being a long-time stalwart in the secondary. 3:30 to go.
And he's shown no weakness about worrying about hitting somebody. I think you give that guy a look.
7 to go on the shot clock. Graves chases it down. He must force another long one. Gets it to Jackson. Away in time. Cornette keeps it alive. Tipped it over to Marshall.
That's Marshall again. He doesn't mind contact.
Cornette who tipped it to him. A fresh 35.
Jackson had the great opening for the shot. He just couldn't get the ball set in his hands.
Under 3 minutes. Tangy bounce pass. Marshall. Ooh. He'll shoot 2.
How about the quickness off the catch by Marshall? He was the MVP of the MCC postseason tournament. As I said, they did not have one guy all-conference first team, even though they won the conference championship, but they did have 3 guys that made all-tourney. Marshall was the MVP. Jordan made all-tourney, as did Jackson.
Haslam's 4th. So it's a 1-and-1, they're saying, for Marshall. Not in the act of shooting.
There is his weakness, only a 41% free throw shooter.
And Graves was whistled for that one. 1-and-1 at the other end.
Well, you do not want to foul if you're Butler. Stops the clock, puts the other team on the line with an opportunity to get points.
Harry Collier, 11 years at Butler. Billy Donovan's 4th at Florida. Came over from Marshall, 5 years an assistant to Rick Pitino. This Could be just 2 minutes, 54 seconds away from Collier's finest moment. He was in the running for that Minnesota opening last summer.
Harvey just a 60% free throw shooter, so
1-1.
not a strength by either team with those two players on the line.
They exchange misses and a fresh 35, if you will, in the end for Butler.
Now, if anything, you'd have to say Florida has fresher players on the floor, but Jackson looks like he's the kind of guy who can run all day long. Going to use some clock here.
Don't sense any fatigue at all on the Butler side.
No, Jackson's got very fresh legs.
Gives it up. Marshall can't convert. 3 bodies on the floor and no whistle.
Miller dangerous in the open court.
Jackson passed up a good shot. Miller, baseline. Could have cut it to 2. Gets a second chance. Foul.
Now Miller going to the line as 72% free throw shooter. And if you're Billy Donovan, you want your guys on the line with that clock stop.
Miller will shoot 2. Good roll. And Robish returns. How he would love to join his father and brother, each with NCAA tournament wins. In fact, his father went all the way to the Final Four with Kansas, 1971. And he remember his dad, Dave Robish, longtime player.
This young man had 18 rebounds this year in a game against Kentucky. Shows you his versatility. Great shooter, good ball handler.
7-point Butler lead is down to 2.
Well, as long as the ball's in Jackson's hands and you're a Butler fan, you feel comfortable. When it gets in the hands of a couple other guys, it makes you nervous. They spread it out a little. It's appropriate in North Carolina, a little 4-point.
Robish, too strong, but out to Hangey. They'll reset.
They're going 4 corners here, and how many times on this very floor in this town did you see Dean Smith work a little 4 corners? Not necessarily on this floor, but in Winston-Salem, North Carolina.
1:40 to go. Butler by 2. Jackson penetrates again. Robish gets a cleaner handle of it this time. Sets up Hangey. Cornette. Jumper. Spins in.
Soft touch on a very difficult shot. There's a coronation for Cornette out here, Jim. He is having some coming out party for his first NCAA tournament game.
Miller with a 3.
Not there.
Last touch.
Miller
by Butler.
Miller wanted the foul after the shot. Doesn't get the call. Here comes the leader back in the game, Marshall.
Donovan wants to talk things over. Florida ball. We'll be right back. 1:10. That's all we have left in this game, and Florida with 1 timeout. Gator possession. Down 4.
Jim, this Butler team lost 3 games on last-second shots so far this year. UNC Wilmington, Santa Clara, and UT Martin. They also lost an overtime game against Eastern Illinois. So they have been in some tight ones. And if you're Florida, don't think 3 here. It's a 2-possession game.
No field goal for Florida for 3 minutes. Inside, they've got a chance. Haslam and 1.
Could be the traditional 3.
That's called on Cornette.
And unfortunately for Florida, they're putting their weaker free throw shooters on the line, but this could be the old-time 3 here for Haslam. Now, Billy Donovan doing a smart thing here. He's going to put some rebounders into the game, get on the line. He's got Harvey on one side, Miller on the other. And this is a major, important block-out situation if you're Butler. She got a 61% free throw shooter on the line. Assume it's going to be missed.
Cut it to 1. Haslam. Too
Assume
strong.
it's going to be missed.
Long rebound, Robish.
But Robish
stolen away. And Weeks ties the game.
Assume it's going to be missed.
Robish had it. He just wasn't strong enough to keep it for long. Jordan underneath. Good, blocked out of bounds. Butler ball.
Boy, that was a good block with no foul. Jim, I go back to that last play. If you're Butler, you had got to get on the boards. Unfortunately, it was Robish and not Marshall that had his hands on the ball. Marshall would have hung on to that. There's the quick hands of Harvey and a good dish.
Reach in steal is what it was. Robish on the inbound play, and he is fouled by Harvey.
Pretty good out of bounds play. Good screen. Robish takes advantage of it. Now we get a better free throw shooter on the line. Robish right at 78%.
And Cornette wants to check in. For the Bulldogs, 2 shots for Robish.
Now what's going to happen is we're going to see both coaches trying to substitute offense and defense. Marshall's going to come into the game if he can get in there for defensive purposes. They don't want him on the floor because he is such a poor free throw shooter on the offensive end.
Perfect again. Marshall returns to the lineup.
Big shots from the transfer from Oklahoma State. Now he's going to go right back down and get ready to go back in the game if they get the ball on offense.
Gators are down 2.
They're going to have to give up the ball.
7-second differential. Miller out high.
He's trying to do too much one-on-one, but he gets by.
Blocked. Underneath. Tie-up situation. Arrow belongs to the Gators. Florida ball.
Is Miller hurt? He looks like he banged his knees down there. Let's see if he can get up. Donovan wants a timeout.
Well, they're talking about, they're looking here.
Miller's okay. He's going to walk this off. He really hit the ground hard. You see him breaking on in here with a drive, try to take the one-on-one move.
Here's what they're talking about. The ball never hit the shot clock. Now they've just reinserted it. They had turned the shot clock off.
Never hit the rim.
Never hit the rim. Thank you. 18 seconds on the shot clock. 25 game clock. Florida ball. No timeouts left for the Gators. It's a good pickup by Tom Rucker to bring the shot clock back into it. 18 on the shot clock. What's the strategy here, Billy?
Well, I think if you're Florida, just be patient. You don't want to be thinking about 3. You've got some good offensive scores. They've got some great offensive rebounders. You'd like to have the ball in Miller's hands, but he's got to also be patient, not try to do it all himself. An excellent offensive team on the floor right now for Florida. Weeks can score. Miller can score. Dupay is a good threat from the outside as well. I would be putting a man on the ball against Dupay. He's awful small to get the ball in bounds.
Leave him unguarded.
Here comes Dupay out.
No timeouts left.
Look at who's guarding him. Marshall's guarding him.
10 seconds on the shot clock. Almost stolen away. They foul on Hangey. He can't believe it. Hangey's 5th.
He fouls out. Think about overtime. That could not be good for Butler. And we'll be bringing in Robish anyway on the offensive end of the floor. 15 seconds ago. Haslam not a good free throw shooter.
He'll shoot 2. It's double bonus time. But as you mentioned the last time Haslam was at the line,
61%, Jim.
Only 61%.
And Harvey's going to go into the ball game, be on his offensive glass along with Wright. Gives him 2 big guys to go on the glass.
Your salient point of before about boxing out on the second free throw.
Absolutely.
So critical yet again because Haslam not a strong performer at the line. Only 15 seconds left in the game.
And Jim, the guys that really have to be conscious of the blockout situation are not only the guys underneath the basket, in this case going to be Robish and Cornette, but also the guys up on the top because that shooter can get the long rebound. Oh, look at Marshall tells Robish to go to the other side. He wants a piece of that action.
Cornette doesn't take inside position and he yields to his teammate Robish. 2 for Haslam. He can tie it with the next one. Annette Collier.
And if you're Collier, you like your situation even if he makes this because you've got 15 seconds. You don't have to do anything other than take a good shot and plenty of time to get there.
And you put the ball in the hands of Thomas Jackson.
Absolutely.
Until the end. Haslam for the tie. What will? He nutted them both beautifully.
Here we go. Jordan comes back in. Nice move by Collier. Takes Marshall out. Even as valuable as he's been, because he doesn't want him in the offensive sets.
Florida showing pressure here.
Oh, why not? They get the ball to Jackson.
12 to go in the game. All tied.
Now Collier wants one shot.
7 to go. Butler trying to pull off the biggest upset of this tournament. Jordan with 2 for the win. No! Underneath. We're going to overtime.
They got what they wanted, though. Their leading scorer getting a jump shot from decent range. But as I said before, this team in their losses have lost some close ones. Fortunately, in their case, they were able to shoot for the win.
Overtime coming at Winston-Salem. Butler and Florida will battle in overtime. We could have had a game won by a Jordan on a last-second shot.
Boy, he had what he wanted, Jim.
Laval Jordan shot a little too strong, and the Gators realize they have survived a scare, at least for the moment. Butler's reaction, ready to celebrate? No. They'll have to earn it in the 5-minute extra session.
And without Angie, who is fouled out. Remember that foul that he committed down there? That was his 5th, so he will not be available.
Another SEC team being pushed to the max.
Now, Florida has played in overtime twice this year. One a double overtime. Both were games against Tennessee, which they lost.
Marshall wins the tip for the second time. Yes, the 2 Florida overtime appearances, both to Tennessee, both losses. Butler won OT this year, lost to Eastern Illinois.
Weeks on Jackson, solid screen by Marshall. Another solid screen.
Jackson jumper. Underneath, Marshall lays it up and in.
You gotta love this guy. He is so strong. He used the left hand to push out anybody in the way. Great leadership qualities. They really love him at Butler.
Right pin for the moment. Jackson steals it.
Is he going to go all the way?
He's got Dupay on his hip. Puts it up high and I thought it was going to drop.
What I liked about Jackson on the play were his eyes, Jim. He came right by us. He visualized everything that was going to happen to him. Now watch Marshall here. He goes inside. Now watch him move everybody aside if we can see it. Grabs the rebound. And look at where Harvey is. He's back out at the foul line after Marshall got finished with it.
One more for Jackson.
Jackson came by us with his eyes totally wide open, sensing did he have an opportunity to take it the length of the floor.
Three-point Bulldog lead.
Jackson's biggest game of his career, 25 points against Indiana State, so he can be explosive in scoring as well as his assist work. Graves staying right with Weeks.
Weeks looking for some help on the screen. To the corner, Miller. 12 on the shot clock. Haslam.
There's
Harvey with the position and one.
There is nobody that gets on the offensive glass in college basketball any better than Harvey. Wow. Georgia's Mr. Basketball, and he is Mr. Offensive Rebounding.
Key here is that's the 4th on Marshall. Hangy is already fouled out. 4 on Marshall. Hamilton comes back in for the Florida Gators.
You know, Marshall, Jim, is only 6'4", and that may be a stretch there, but he's given up 3 and 4 inches all the time.
Long rebound to Jackson.
Yep, good blocking out.
He blocked out the shooter. So the Bulldogs maintain a 1-point lead in overtime. Graves off the glass. Marshall over the back.
Boy, he had to
may have gotten away with that one, Billy.
Sure did. Could have been his 5th. Marshall's on Miller. Miller has to recognize that and say, look, the guy's got 4 fouls on him. I can take him. I'm a quicker man. Take him to the basket.
Haslam inside. Will they call that offensive? Yes.
Sure did. Great job by Robish.
That's for Haslam. His 5th. He's out.
Now Florida in better shape. They can come back in with Wright to take Haslam's place. Jim, one of the things that the players have to do, they have to recognize when they have a mismatch situation, particularly a guy with 4 fouls on him. Miller didn't take advantage of it.
Donovan calls his team over to utilize the fouled out situation like a bonus timeout. Temple blitzing Lafayette from the get-go today, and same thing with Tulsa over UNLV.
Well, Tulsa doesn't have any trouble in college basketball unless they face Fresno State.
Seems about right. UConn up 11. Trying to advance to play Tennessee, which struggled today to knock out Louisiana Lafayette.
And you knew that Fresno State-Wisconsin game would be similar to this one in this respect. Which team would get the other guy to play his game? Wisconsin ended up getting Fresno State to play their game. As anticipated, Wright comes in for Haslam.
Butler ball, Butler 1-point lead, 3:11 to go in overtime.
Beats the double team, does Jackson.
Pressure from behind, and it's stolen away by Weeks. Hamilton takes the middle, throws it away right at the ankles of Miller.
Who was back there with 4 fouls on him, a 2-on-1 situation? The crafty Marshall would not let them make the play.
Jackson looks pinned this time, needs some help. Cornette, it's knocked over to Robish by accident. Jackson bounce pass, Marshall didn't have the right spin on it.
Weeks is open.
Miller takes the top of the key 3, and underneath, Marshall.
Could that be the 5th? This is a big call here, Jim.
Which way is it going? I think it's on Marshall.
It's a huge call.
It is.
It's Harvey or Marshall. Is it Marshall? That'd be 5, so Hangey and Marshall are out of there. He cannot believe it. Well, you cannot ask a guy to give you more than what Marshall does. You can see this.
Look at this. He's
away
in a
from
headlock.
the action. Yeah.
Weeks
had actually nothing to do with the rebound. Why is that Marshall's foul?
Well, the contact they whistled Marshall for was earlier, but a lot of extracurricular activity there.
And look at his leadership right now. He's talking to his teammates. You can imagine that conversation. Guys, I'm out of here. Keep playing hard.
So the 2 bruisers inside for Butler have fouled out. Hangey and Marshall, who did not even have a single foul by halftime, all coming in the second half and overtime. He's out.
Harvey on the line, 2 shots.
Harvey, 2 of 4 at the line. He missed his last 2. Double bonus. That ties it.
Harvey has some of the biggest hands in all of college basketball, in addition to that wingspan you talked about.
Midway through an overtime session, and Butler, the 12th seed in the East, is tied with the Florida Gators.
They have the numbers. Harvey was not down court. They want to hold it back up.
Butler had a shot at the end of regulation to win it.
And they got the ball to the hands of the right man, Jordan, but he just couldn't bury the jump shot.
Misfired on an 18-footer. Butler had a late 7-point lead in regulation. 2 of their starters have fouled out. 3 on the shot clock. 2. Jackson must take it. Block. Shot clock violation. Miller with the block.
And Barry Collier's saying the right thing. Jordan didn't realize where the shot clock was and made the 1 pass too many. The ball was in his hands. He's the leading scorer. He should have been the one to go for the shot. He just lost concentration on the clock.
Now Butler's 7-point lead was with 4 minutes to go in regulation. Mike Marshall out of the game, disqualified with fouls. All he can do is show his leadership, and that is enormous. From the bench,
Miller posted up inside. Scott Jackson.
Miller between two defenders, over the back, Harvey.
Yep, he's going to be over Graves' back. Graves came down inside. Florida tried to force it when it wasn't there.
He'll shoot two at the other end, and Harvey has fouled out. That's two now for the Gators to the bench, disqualified with fouls. Haslam and Harvey.
And look at who goes to the line, Jim. Graves, 91% free throw shooter. His brother Matt now coaching at Ben Davis High School in Indianapolis. And you know how strong a program that they've had over the years.
His brother stepped up in the NCAA tournament against New Mexico back in '98, led Butler in scoring in that NCAA tournament loss. But Andrew Graves will shoot a pair with 1:32 to go in overtime.
Trying to freeze him a little bit. I'll tell you, he's doing the right thing. Staying off of that foul line, not getting himself down where he'll go through his normal shot rotation.
We have here with Butler the NCAA 2000 Final Four host school. And what an appearance here by the hosts. 2 for Graves, 91%, perfect on the first.
When you find 90% free throw shooters, these are the kind of guys that don't even count them unless they go through completely clean. That one touched nothing.
Switch City, Indiana celebrates the second.
How about Swish City?
Yeah, Swish City on those two. Butler by 2 with 1:26 to go in the game.
Miller wanting to post up down inside. Jordan doing a nice job keeping it away from him.
12 on the shot clock. Weeks with a 3 off the rim, and 2 Butler players tangled, and it's a traveling violation as a result.
The smallest man on the floor, Jackson, gets the defensive rebound, but can't plant his feet.
Oh, now you'd love to have that one back with 1:05 to go if you're Butler. Inside right, bangs it home for the tie. We've got a minute to go in overtime. Yet another tie forced by Brent Wright and the Florida Gators.
Every time they've gone into the 1-4 being Butler with Jackson out on top, they have not been able to execute. Now they're going back to their normal set, which is the high screen for Jackson. He and Cornette with a little pick and roll here.
38 game clock, 14 shot clock. Jackson with 7 on the shot clock. Graves with the 3. Yes! Swish City!
Miller.
Blocked by Cornette. Bonner can tie it. Back of the rim. Rebound. Florida ball with 20 seconds to go.
Boy, Bonner's shot looked right on line, didn't it, Jim?
I thought he made it.
Boy, Graves' shot was not an easy one.
I was surprised he took it.
Oh, I know. He had a hard time squaring up.
The Gators have exhausted all of their timeouts here in overtime. Florida possession down 3.
Jim, I think if you are Florida, you want to go for the 3 here with Miller or with Weeks, maybe even Bonner. And I'll tell you why. On the other end of the floor, Butler would not have to shoot, and Jackson and Graves are great free throw shooters. So I think you should try to go for it here, not go for the 2.
Hamilton kicks it outside to Weeks. Graves almost stole it. Weeks drives into the lane. He'll take the 2. It's down to 1. 10 seconds to go.
Get the ball in the hand of Graves.
Jordan will go to the line to shoot 2.
I didn't think that was a good move to take the 2 if you're Florida, because you're going to go ahead and put Butler in a situation where they did not have to even shoot the ball with the lead, so you're going to have to foul a good free throw shooter.
So Jordan, who missed the chance to win it at the end of regulation.
See, just think of this, Jim.
Free throws.
You got Jordan, an 83% shooter, Jackson, an 80% shooter, and Graves, a 91% shooter. You couldn't take the chance.
Oh, hold on a minute. 8.1 seconds remaining. Will we have a 12 seed beat a 5 for the 12th straight year? The Gators have no timeouts. They're down 1.
Oh, he misses.
Still 1. Gators with a chance to win it. Will Cinderella arrive? Miller in the lane, puts it up. Florida wins. Florida wins. Mike Miller with the winner at the buzzer.
How big were those missed free throws, Jim? They would have needed a 3. Unbelievable. The SEC dodges it again. They're still undefeated.
They're 5 for 5, and 5 times they've been pushed all the way, but nothing like this one.
Well, I said for Butler, they lost now 4 games at the buzzer and 1 in overtime. You'll see Teddy DuPay's got nothing going for him. Miller, who is so dangerous taking the ball to the basket. Nobody draws the charge on him. He lays it up, it counts.
Released with 3/10 of a second to go. Mike Miller.
Jackson does not step over to draw the charge. It was left his hands in plenty of time. Here he comes. The release.
The officials right now are checking the replay to make sure he beat the clock, and we've already been able to deduce he clearly did, but they are huddled by a replay monitor, and they're just checking to be sure. The officials are reviewing this right here.
Now watch the light right behind the rim. The ball's been released.
Looked like 3/10 of a second, Billy.
The official's original decision has been verified.
And they have verified the win. How did Miller know he could take it that far?
Well, those missed free throws, Jim.
Watch the light here,
deal.
Billy.
Yeah, you'll
Watch
see the light. The ball is
Left
released.
the hand, and it's Zenith.
Well, remember, the shot goes when it's released, not
right.
when it gets up to the rim, so he let it go in plenty of time.
The Florida Gators advance to the second round to face Illinois. What a performance here by the Butler Bulldogs. Would have been the tournament's ultimate underdog. But the Bulldogs are eliminated. The Chevrolet most valuable players, Joel Cornett, the freshman, 11 points, 6 rebounds. Mike Miller from Florida with 16 points, 13 rebounds. Lon Kruger will go against his old team, the Florida Gators, team he took to the Final Four in '94. It was Miller's time at the end of overtime, and the Florida Gators advance to the second round. Let's go back to New York and Greg Gumbel.